Happy Monday and welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm of course your host, David On Point. Helping right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. Before we get in, I really want to wish everybody a wonderful happy Memorial Day. Thank you very much for everyone who made the sacrifice to this country. Without their sacrifice, me and TJ couldn't be doing what we're doing right now, recording a podcast and sending it out to you guys on Facebook. So we appreciate all our men and women in uniform, including TJ's brother. But yeah, welcome into the show. Today, Game 7, as we're going to talk about Game 7, as it is one of the favorite two words in all of professional sports, Game 7. What's up, TJ? Happy Monday, man.
You got me?
I got you. I can hear you.
Some technical stuff was going on. I didn't know what was happening. Yeah, Game 7. Shouldn't even be a Game 7, but here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, me and you might be a little rusty. I haven't ran a show in over a week. I cannot remember the last time I didn't run a podcast in over a week. So let's just see if I can remember how to do this, right? Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Let's start. I know we want to talk about Game 7, but as always, there's breaking news in the National Basketball Association. And Nick Nurse, hired by the Philadelphia 76ers like 3 hours ago. To be their new head basketball coach, replacing Doc Rivers. Nurse obviously won that NBA title with Kawhi Leonard with Raptors in 2019. 227 and 163 record in 5 seasons. He was released this offseason. He's been a coach at various levels since 1989. Still not longer than I've been alive, but still. So what do we think about Nick Nurse in Philly?
A lot of people are. I don't know how to feel about it. I still don't know what to make of Nick Nurse as a coach. Like we kind of see what he is. And obviously, like if you have superstar level players on your team, it makes your job a bit easier.
Uh-oh.
Like I always say, like he caught lightning in a bottle with Kawhi Leonard in that 1 year, and it's hard to repeat that success when Kawhi Leonard leaves and Kyle Lowry leaves and other players from that championship team leave, right? And you get younger, and then you're asking more from guys who aren't used to giving more, and then guys become younger, like you draft a Scotty Barnes who wins Rookie of the Year and then has kind of plateaued as a player. Pascal Siakam has been in trade talks the last basically like year and a half.
But he has been good while dealing with all those trade talks.
He's been good. Like same thing with OG Anunoby. He's been in trade talks.
Also been good. You also had, a team that, a very good defensive team, first team to record more steals while allowing the fewest since that it was initially tracked since 1973, 74. So recording more steals than they allowed. Um, Also led the league in points per game off turnovers while allowing the fewest. He's a defensive minded guy. He installed an aggressive style of defense. But the problem with the Sixers, defense isn't really, I don't think defense is their problem. It's their offense.
It's the
Well, I mean, it's a combination of a bunch of stuff,
it's
but
a combination. It's the predictability of
their
the
offense,
offense.
yes.
It's you're running one of five sets. You're running a pick and roll between James Harden or Maxey and Joel Embiid. You're running an ISO for Harden. You're running some type of play for Joel Embiid. You're running some type of ISO for either Harden or Maxey. And yeah, after a while, like especially in the playoffs, once you see that stuff time and time again, it's like, all right, this is predictable. We know what they want to do. Like that series.
We talked about this. Like, there's a lot with like the Tom Thibodeau stuff. Like his offense becomes wildly predictable in the playoffs. The Sixers had the same problem. Their offense became so predictable. You watched it; it was just hard to watch their offense. And so
that series against the Celtics. Sorry to cut you off. That series against the Celtics, Joel Embiid was getting guarded by literally everyone. Like we even saw Jason Tatum guard him, and it's like I don't care that you have a tear in your knee. Like I don't want to hear that from Philly fans and Embiid fans. Oh, he had a tear in his knee. I don't care. He was out there. He was playing, and tear in his knee or not, there was nobody on the Celtics that should have been able to guard him straight up. Like he was getting the ball against the Jason Tatum from the free throw line and was settling for fadeaway jumpers. Why? Like that's the matchup that you want if you're Philly.
Yep.
Two dribbles, back him down, left shoulder, right shoulder, turn and hook. That's all you got to do. But Nick Nurse, is he the right hire? It's still that's the question mark. If this
it's probably too early to tell if this is the right hire or not. But
because you hire a Doc Rivers because you reached your peak as under Brett Brown. All right, you kept getting to the second round and then you kept getting knocked off. Find out that's what you are under Doc Rivers. Now, if Nick Nurse is the right guy, he gets you to the conference final. You haven't been to the conference finals in 22 years. Allen Iverson was the last guy to the conference finals.
Yep. That documentary is coming out soon, actually.
The
Larry Brown AI documentary.
That's coming out pretty soon, and I
think it might be out actually, or it comes out this week.
It's coming out soon. That falls under coming out soon.
Yeah.
And
TJ.
like the bigger issue here is it isn't coaching. I don't care who your coach is. You got at some point in time you got to look at the personnel. I've said it time and time again. You didn't pay Tobias Harris to be the guy, but you paid him to be a guy. The fact that Tyrese Maxey has come in and surpassed him on the pecking order kind of.
Well, I don't necessarily think they utilize Tobias Harris to his strengths.
But at some point in time, where as the player does that fall on you to be a voice and be like, hey, I'm better than this. One, I'm better than this. Two, again, you got paid to be a player, to be a voice. Call out the coaching. Call out somebody. And be like, hey, I'm not being used right. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. James Harden.
And also, it kind of feels like this conversation that we have. We just recycle the same guys. Like we're talking. We won't talk. We're gonna get to the other coaches that were hired in this cycle so far here in a little bit. But it's nice to see new names like Adrian Griffin getting a coaching job. Being the head coach now. Was it the Bucks? Right, the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah. So it seems like it's just these recycled of these same guys who are cast off in other places, then you think he's going to be the answer where you are. I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to try somebody who has maybe a little less experience, has maybe one of those upstart assistants. You're just constantly recycling these. Doc Rivers is probably going to get another job. We've seen what we need to see out of Doc Rivers. He's probably going to he's always recycling these same guys. Monty Williams is probably going to be another head coach either soon
Like in real talk, if I'm Doc Rivers, like bro, I don't want to coach for at least a year. All right, maybe two. Like I gotta get away from this. Like I gotta get away. Like I gotta do like studio work or
Yeah.
like commentary. Like I gotta do something. I
So we'll see what ends up happening with Nick Nurse here in Philadelphia. We can talk about the hire next year as we 1 year later. If he ends up winning the Philadelphia 76ers a title in his first season, which he did in Toronto as the first year head coach there, that'll be a slam dunk hire. It remains to be seen. So let's talk about Game 7. Let's go. Boston Celtics, Miami Heat. The series is tied 3 apiece. Heat won first 3 games. Celtics won the last 3 games, including a buzzer beater by Derek White at the horn, basically, to basically stave off elimination. Beat the Heat 104-103. Celtics, only the 4th team in league history, force a Game 7 after being down 3-0. They're first to have home court. There's their season stats for Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum. Let's talk a little bit about the struggling offenses of these two teams. The Boston Celtics cannot seem to make a 3 to save their lives. The 2 stars for the Miami Heat have really not played well in this series. It's been those other guys that have carried Miami through this stretch, especially in Game 6. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo really not good in that game. Jimmy Butler playing very tentative. He doesn't seem like that aggressive player that we've seen. He very hesitant to shoot the basketball. I don't know what you do with these 2 offenses. Neither of them, to be frankly honest with you, really deserve to make it to the finals. But one of them is going to. Let's talk about the offenses first. So what do you think the remedy here should be?
well, the remedy to any bad offense is hitting shots. Like, and it's not like they can't hit anything. It's literally just one aspect of the Celtic offense, and it's their
Yeah,
3-point shooting.
yeah.
Like
I mean,
everything else
they've been
is
solid
fine.
pretty much everywhere else.
Right, everything else is fine. It's literally just one aspect, and that's the thing that irks me about today's NBA. Like you have a stretch of a bad 3-point shooting, and all of a sudden I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know how they're gonna come back from this. They can't hit it. Like bro, like the last time I checked, basketball is more than just chucking up threes. Like where did they like this whole live by the 3, die by the 3 thing? Like it's quite frankly it's annoying because like you're so focused on this one iteration of one aspect of the game. It's like, oh, forget the fact that Boston is like 60 some percent from literally every spot else on the court, but past the 3-point line. Like that's not important. Forget that part, right, David? Like
Yeah.
that's just forget that, right? Like that's who cares about that? They are not hitting threes. Shut up, stop it. Like true basketball fans know that this should already be over. Like I don't care what happens tonight, who wins. Like I don't care if Boston wins loses tonight. Miami blew a 3-0 lead.
Yep.
I don't like the people that's like like if they lose, if they win, they didn't blow it. Yes, they did.
Yes, they do.
You blew a 3-0 lead. It was 3-0. Now it's 3-3. You blew a 3-0 lead. Win, lose, or draw, you blew a 3-0 lead. I don't care.
And I think like the Heat going back all the way to Game 4, like they just seemed like they were like, oh, this series is over, and they came out super lackadaisical in that game, and they just didn't. They haven't seemed to have the same fire that we've seen out of this Miami Heat team when they were the underdogs the whole time. Because once you build up a 3-0 lead, you're considered the favorite at that point. And this Heat team has just not been good. Indeed, like everyone saw, they're the most clutch team in the NBA. Have they been? Like based on what? I mean,
Like, and I said that. Like, what did I say in the preview? Like, how, at what point in time does Jimmy Butler hit the wall?
I think we're seeing it. I think we for sure saw it in Game 6. He just doesn't look like he doesn't have that tenacity that he had in previous series or early in this series even. Like he just doesn't seem to have that tenacity, and like he just seems so tentative on the court. Like especially when you put some bigs on him to guard him, he just seems to be a different guy than we saw earlier in the playoffs.
At what point in time does Jimmy Butler hit the wall? And outside of like the last 2 minutes of Game 6, 3 for 19.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say one more. Because I'm gonna get on Boston too because they shouldn't have found themselves down 3-0. So if they lose tonight, if the Heat lose tonight, that playoff Jimmy still, I don't want to hear nothing about no playoff Jimmy for a long time. Like you don't
Man,
get no.
I don't watch mainstream media, right? So like, or
Yeah,
mainstream sports coverage. Like, if anybody else had shot the basketball the way Jimmy Butler shot the basketball game in Game 6, they'd be getting killed. I
kill.
don't like. I don't know what the rhetoric has been for Jimmy Butler
No,
overnight, like over the last.
they're talking about it because like you said the same thing. Like, ever since Game 3, Jimmy Butler really hasn't been
Good.
quote unquote playoff Jimmy. Like so, if you're Skip Bayless, he hasn't had a good game since Game 2. And like Skip Bayless went even far enough to say as if the Heat win tonight, if Skip Bayless had a vote, he would give Finals MVP, Conference Finals MVP to Caleb Martin because consistent.
I think it's certainly warranted.
So, because like if you look at games from game one to now, consistently, Caleb Martin has been their like the most consistent player.
Yep.
Like
he basically single handedly kept them in that game in Game 6. They were cooked otherwise. And then Bam Adebayo playing like trash, Jimmy Butler playing like trash. Like neither of them, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, neither of them have been remotely all that good last 4 games.
And the one thing that you have to look at if you're Miami is the stories that these guys have on the Heat team. They're beautiful. They're Hollywood. They're what like Gabe Vincent, undrafted. Duncan Robinson, undrafted. Caleb Martin, undrafted. You go from undrafted to contributing majorly to a storied franchise like the Heat. If the Heat win tonight, this is their 7th finals appearance in franchise history. And you about to Gabe Vincent finna get paid. Caleb Martin got his money. Duncan Robinson got his money. But at some point in time, you have to understand that these 3 dudes are just role players. Yep. On their best day, they're role players. And if you're the Heat, and if you're Pat Riley, you gotta look at this like, hey man, I gotta do something. I gotta get a name. I gotta get a star here. I gotta get a Bradley Beal. I gotta get a Dame. I gotta get a star.
Let's talk X Factor. X Factor for these 2 teams. What do you think the X Factor is for the Boston Celtics? Also, I think Malcolm Brogdon is a go for this game for the Boston Celtics, so he will be able to play. But X Factors for both these 2 teams.
X Factors for both. Boston is Jaylen Brown. He's been horrible, to say the least. But again, it's just literally just the 3-point shooting. I'm not going to sit here and say Jaylen Brown's been that terrible because he had like 24 in Game 6. I could be wrong on that, but
I'll double check that.
I'm pulling it up now.
Yeah, he had 26 in Game 6. He had 21 in Game 5, 17, and then 12 in Game 3.
Wait, say what do you have in Game 3?
26, 21, 17, and then 12 in that game they got blown out.
Oh yeah,
in Game 3.
Everybody had a bad Game 3. So like last game, what was it? What you say? 26 on 9 of 16 shooting. That is great. You took 16 shots, you missed 7 of them. 4 of them were from 3, and that's what everybody's focused on, right? 0 for 4 from 3. Like that's what everybody's. He went 0 for 4 from 3. He had a terrible game. Like no, he didn't. 9 for 16.
He shot damn near 57% from the field. That's pretty damn good. That's what centers shoot.
That's good shooting. Marcus Smart 7 to 15. That's good shooting.
I actually think Marcus Smart is the X factor for the Boston Celtics. Like his play over the last 3.
It's Al Horford. I'll take mine back. It's Al Horford.
Okay, I'm going to go Marcus Smart. His play over the last 3 games has been nothing short of incredible. He's hit really big time shots. Even with the shot that Derek White, the game shaving shot that Derek White, like Marcus Smart almost made that shot. Like, yes. literally rimmed out. Like it literally almost went in. But over the last 2 games, he's come up 21, 23 points. He's shooting it like 70%, 50% from the 3-point line. He's basically been the savior of his turnaround game and his ability to defend without fouling has been super important. On the Miami Heat side of this, I know it's weird to call this guy an X factor because of his stature in the NBA, but it's Jimmy Butler. If Jimmy Butler doesn't play more aggressive and he doesn't get off of whatever he's got going on, like if he's just tired, that's fine. But he's got to be aggressive in this basketball game. He cannot be hesitant to take shots. He's got to shoot the basketball with confidence and meaning and purpose. And he's their X factor.
Yeah, to me, it's Al Horford. Like, Al Horford has scored double digits in 2 out of these coming up 7 games. Wait, no, 1. He scored double digits once. Right, and and he scored 12 points. That was in game 1? Was that game 1?
I have to look at his stats. I don't have
game 1 he scored 7. Yeah, game 1 he scored 7. Game 2 he scored 2.
So he's got 4 points, 6 points, 12, 8, and 2. But Al Horford's value is more on the other end of the basketball court with his defensive prowess.
No, I'm not gonna.
Like that block he had on Bam Adebayo in game 6.
That block was a good block, but
it was like series changing almost. Like if Bam Adebayo scores that, I mean, I think they tie the game back up. Who knows what? And then you get the Heat have momentum going forward.
No, but at the same time, you're out there because of your ability to stretch the floor.
Yeah, he hasn't shot it well. So
if you're
he also hasn't shot the ball that many times. I mean,
I'm not going to give you the ball if you keep clanking. What am I passing you the ball for?
I mean, he only took 6 shots in game 6. He did miss both of his 3-pointers, but
what am I giving you the ball for? Your ability to stretch the floor, which is to pull Bam out of the paint, has been Bam Adebayo is basically just Caitlin Clarking you, bro. Like, he fanning you off. Like, I will give you that because you haven't hit it.
What is your Heat X factor?
Heat X factor. I mean, it's easy to say Jimmy Butler, but it is Jimmy Butler. Bam is starting to get into that territory of he is what he is. To me, like 16-9 is basically what Bam Adebayo is, which isn't bad, but also if you look in the mirror, that's not championship level play from your big. Like he is what he is. Like 16-9, he has been. The fact that Jimmy Butler went on that tear in those first 3 games and has been subsequently subpar since that is allowing him to coast basically unscathed without, albeit like a mention here or there. And I think that's give credit to the defense that the Celtics play. Because like you say, Al Horford has been he's been awesome. And Robert Williams, of course, is a problem on defense because of his length and his activity.
So let's talk about Celtics. Celtics win the game if
Celtics win the game if the shots if they come out and like just straight up blitz Miami and the blitz stays on. Like if they come, like let's say they hit like 8 threes in the first quarter.
I think I think Boston wins. If they come out and they hit it hard. Jason Tatum is cooking because we have seen him cook at 51 points in an elimination game against the Sixers. I agree with you on the Celtics side of this. What about Miami? Miami wins the series if
they take the crowd out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Actually, yeah, they got to remove the crowd out of this game. They got to basically have to punch them in the mouth. Boston's in the mouth, and they'll never let them recover. They got to get going early. Like, it can't be lackadaisical. Jimmy Butler has to be aggressive. So the big question is, who wins the game?
I'm going Boston. I don't like. I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't like how Miami talking. This is why you don't make guarantees, bro. Like if you make a guarantee, if you make a guarantee you better come with it. Like two things got to happen. You either better have a game of your life and win, or you at least got to win. Jimmy Butler did neither one. He had a terrible game six. He had a terrible. I don't care. Oh, the last he finished with this. No, all of his points literally came from the free throw line. I don't want like he was 3 for 19 outside of the last 2 minutes. It ain't how you start. It's how you. Miami wins a close one. No, is it your like you have no opinion on this. You don't get a say in this. You don't get a say in this, Izzy. You have no objectivity towards this. You literally told us you hate Boston. You cannot have a say in this. I don't know.
With that being said, I'm also taking the Boston Celtics. I think they blow the roof off of Miami. I think this game is over at halftime.
I ain't gonna go that far.
I think this is one of those games where Boston comes out gunning and they just bury Miami early.
I'm not gonna go that far because we've seen Boston get up big and they get walked down. I'm going Boston. Miami has no momentum. They have none.
Yeah,
I said it in the group chat. I don't see how you mentally lock in. I don't see how you mentally lock in for this game. Like you were up 3-0. Like that psychologically, that has to be weighing in on you. That has to be.
It's only the fourth time in NBA history where you let a 3-game lead slip up. I'm rolling with Boston. They're about to make history.
Eric Spoelstra can say he can puff his chest out. I wish we could tip off right now. He said that after Game 6. For what? Like what? Like for what?
Like, you guys, Miami has consistently not made shots other than like the other guys, like Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler haven't been all that good. What's up, Pedro? What's up, Pedro?
Gabe Vincent's playing some. I forgot some "Life Goes On" song in the locker room. It's all right. If you ain't care, life gonna go on. And y'all gonna be on somebody's beach.
Because moving on, we'll take Boston.
I'm taking like they don't have. They have all the momentum. If you down 0-3 and they talking sweep, they talking sweep. And on the other thing, because I said I got to get into Boston. If you're Boston, to me, you get no credit for coming back. Why? Because you were the favorite to begin with. You were the heavy favorite to begin with in this series. So for you to come back and to me, you're just doing what you should have been doing. So to me, you get no credit. You were down. The fact that you were down 0-3, hey, what's going on?
I mean, the Boston Celtics team, I think whenever their back seems like going to be against the wall, they seem to always play a little bit better. They seem to enjoy it. They always seem to enjoy playing with that chip on their shoulder.
This is it. We'll get into this. I think no matter what happens, win or lose, if they win this series and go to the finals, if they lose the finals, if they lose this year, I think this is it. I think this is the last iteration of this Celtic team because I think Jaylen Brown is out.
We'll talk about that. We'll see what ends up happening. I also think I don't think it matters who comes out of the Eastern Conference. I think
Nuggets.
I think Denver is going to give them the business, and you'll get our analysis on the finals when it happens on Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that content. Let's talk about two other head coaches that were hired within the last week or so. First, Rockets hire Emmanuel Udoka. He was the Boston Celtics head coach from one season in 2021-22. He led that team to the finals. He won 51 games after what was like a 500 start about the All-Star break. That team ended up being the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. He did spend time as an assistant for the Spurs, Sixers, and Nets. And Milwaukee Bucks hire Adrian Griffin, former assistant for the Chicago Bulls. He was Nick Nurse's top assistant this past season. This is his first head coaching job. The Bucks were sold on Griffin's leadership, presence, character, and ability to oversee high-level defensive teams. Spent teams as assistant for the Bucks, Bulls, Magic, Thunder, and Raptors. Thoughts on both these hires? And I know you're very excited about the Adrian Griffin hire because you were talking a lot about him during the last coaching cycle when you covered this last year.
I think the one thing that has to be reiterated here is both of these guys. Obviously, I know Udoka is quote unquote not a new head coach, new in quotation marks because he's already been a head coach. But both of these guys, both of these guys are former players. So like that, I don't think that I don't think that's being talked about enough in terms of relatability. Because one of the big things that a coach has to do is you have to be able to, in some way, shape, or form, you have to be able to relate to your players. The fact that these guys are both former players. Now, granted, the game has changed drastically from when they were players to what it is now, but nonetheless, that's huge. Right? And on Adrian Griffin, former player, finals appearance. Like he went to the he was a part of that '06 Mavericks team that lost to the Heat. I think he was the starting. He was either starting point or starting two of that team. Coached by so the minds that Adrian Griffin has learned under, played for in Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson don't get enough credit for his coaching career or his playing career.
I mean, assistant to Tom Thibodeau. I mean,
played under
Billy Donovan.
Played under Scott Skiles, right? Not like obviously wasn't the quote unquote best head coach.
I mean, Jeff Van Gundy, I think, was the Houston Rockets head coach when he was there in 03-04.
Yeah, that was either Van Gundy or Rudy Tomjanovich, one of the two. But nonetheless,
in Dallas, you got Rick Carlisle. I don't know if Rick Carlisle was there in 05-06.
No, that was Avery Johnson.
You sure was.
That was Avery Johnson. I'm actually excited about this because, and like we learned that that Giannis actually was kind of pushing for Budenholzer to get out the door, and that's kind of shocking because Giannis doesn't give off that type of vibe. But hey, them be the ones you got to look out for. Obviously, there's less pressure on Ime Udoka because unless they get James Harden.
Even then, I think the master plan when he took this job is that the Rockets would end up with the first overall pick. They would sign James Harden, and then they would trade for Jaylen Brown. Now that Jaylen Brown has made an All-NBA team, James Harden, they didn't get the first overall pick.
But they can still trade for Jaylen Brown.
They could, and they would. I mean, require. I mean, they built up some really young, nice assets there.
Because if I'm Houston and if you're Ime Udoka, the one thing that you want to get used to, like you got used to winning. You've been to a finals. There are coaches who go their whole career and never get to a finals. You've been to one. Once you've been, and you obviously you should have won. You should have won 4-1, but it don't go that way.
And then he never really got it. That everything that happened in Boston after that was extremely unfair to him as a human being and as a coach. Probably never should have lost that job.
No, and if I'm Boston, if I'm him, I F you to Boston like for forever because you aired my dirty laundry. Like we see.
I mean, they could have easily just fired him and like left it at that.
Hey, why'd you fire Ime Udoka? Conduct detrimental to the team. I said that when it happened.
Yep, I agree with you. Because this was always going to be the result. He was always going to get fired from the Boston Celtics. They didn't need to air his dirty laundry. He didn't need to air.
And that's the part that you didn't like. Like they fired him. Like they removed him. Like basically they suspended him for a season. It's just like, all right, now what?
Well, I always felt they should. If they're going to suspend him for the season, that makes no sense. There was no surreality where he was going to come back and be the head coach of that team. So they should have just fired him on the spot and just said conduct detrimental to the team. I think he's got a lot of young talent there. Ime Udoka is not going to take that clowning stuff that they've been doing there in Houston over the last few seasons. And he has Jalen Green, who's probably one of the most inefficient players in the NBA, but he's talented. He's really talented. So if you can get that ship, they got Sagoon is a good young player. I like the kid at LSU they drafted this past year.
Eason? Is it Eason?
Yeah. So they have some nice pieces on this team. And so if they can all just start maturing up, and Udoka is not going to be a guy who's going to get pushed around by some young NBA players.
Oh no! Like
so,
I wish they would try that. Hey, I don't like this. I'm going home stuff at halftime. You will be on a new team.
Yep.
Or out the
And,
NBA.
and Adrian Griffin, I think this is what we talked about with the Nick Stir stuff. This is a new face, a new guy. It's not just recycling the same guys over and over again. This is a guy who gets a new opportunity, and he gets a team that's pretty damn good. Like he inherits a Milwaukee Bucks team. Depending on what they end up doing in free agency with Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton, this is going to be a good basketball team. Like regardless of whatever, like the fact that Giannis is on this team, at least for now, they have an opportunity to offer him an extension this offseason. So we'll see what ends up happening with that situation. But this is a good basketball team. He's inheriting a good team.
Yeah, that's really the only concern with Adrian Griffin. Like, so you're going to get, as of right now, as currently constructed, you're getting a championship level team.
Yeah.
Not only
you're getting a team where the expectations is a ship, and that's it.
That's it. Like, and so not only are you getting a championship team, you're inheriting a championship team that just got embarrassed.
Yeah.
They just got embarrassed. And I don't want to hear none. Like, honestly, like Giannis's back injury played a role in that, because that's an injury that, if that was a regular season injury,
he's out a month.
He's out a month, easily. But because they lost the first 3 out of the first 4 games.
Yeah.
The only game they won was game 2.
Yeah, and they won game 4, I think. Or I don't remember how it shook out, but they won game 4 or 5 or 4. No, they didn't. I don't remember.
No,
I think they won.
No, they lost. They lost in 5.
Yeah, so they won game 2, and then they lost the rest of them. 2 of those games they had double-digit leads going into the fourth quarter, and they let that slip away. Yeah, I think, Adrian Griffin, I'm excited for his opportunity. Just feels like a new guy getting a new coaching opportunity. It's not just rehashing the same guy. And Ami Udoka should never have got lost that Celtics job. He should still – he's a great head coach. He showed it when he was in Boston.
The Celtics have moments where you can see that they miss him.
Yeah. I think the mental toughness that they showed like last season, I just think you see moments where they don't show that mental tenacity that, they had under Udoka.
True.
So, but yeah, congratulations to both these guys. Congratulations to all 3 guys that got head coaching jobs in this video. We're still waiting for the Phoenix Suns. We're still waiting for Detroit, and we're still waiting for Toronto. So as those coaching additions get added, we'll talk about them. The next episode of the crossover is going to be on Wednesday. We're going to break down the NBA Finals, and then tomorrow we're going to start our NFL season preview, starting with the Atlanta Falcons. We're also going to be doing a fantasy football show, TJ, as I know how much you love fantasy football. So continue to check us out here at Prime Sports World. We go live every single day, bringing you guys the most up-to-date content. Including
for those of you that don't know, I hate fantasy football.
I know.
I absolutely abhor it.
Last time we brought it up, you left the show. So
yes.
But yeah, thank you very much for checking us out. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And TJ, after a week off, I think we did okay.
Yeah, we did all right.
Yeah. But yeah, this is Prime Sports World. I'm TJ. I'm David Huffman. There's Mr. TJ Hopkins right there. And I hope you all have a very nice Memorial Day. And thank an armed service member of your family for their dedication to the country. We appreciate it here at Prime Sports World. As I mentioned in the intro, TJ, your brother, right, is in the Air Force, right?
Yes.
So yeah, thank you for him for his service. But yeah, thank you very much for checking us out. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, and it's gonna get hot here later this week. So
it's 86 right now in Fort Wayne. It's supposed to be 90 tomorrow and every day until the end of the week. We're not expecting rain for like another 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be upper 80s, like starting tomorrow for the rest of the week up this way too. So
luckily my apartment complex has a pool, so I'm gonna do that. Let's go. I'll see you later, TJ. Have a good night, man.
See you.